Years ago, we thought we'd moved past fighting, that human lives were too valuable to spend on national interests, and that a growing economy would fulfill all of our needs. But war never ended for the corporations, who hired us to do their dirty work.
Hey, we're catching up with Martin here from Ruffian Games, who are working on a game called Hollowpoint that caught me by surprise here at the Paradox Con this year. We saw the game first at Gamescom, showed off at the PlayStation conference. Now we're getting to see like the real meats and bones, what's going on underneath the surface there. How would you sort of describe Hollowpoint in a short pitch?
A short pitch. Well, at Ruffian Games, we're known for action games, for guns and super-powered operatives. So at the front of it, Hollowpoint may look like it's following that, but to be honest, it's an awful lot deeper than that, and that's where our combination with Paradox works well. They're very into their strategy and tactics, and so we've merged that together. So yes, you do run around, there's a lot of guns, there's a lot of explosions, but there's also there's abilities, there's use of cover, the big thing is shooting into the screen. So it's a 2.5D game, so you're shooting on the 2D plane, but all of the enemies come from the depth of the screen towards you. So if you're clever and good, you will take them out before they actually get anywhere close to you. So it's two game styles really merged into one fairly seamlessly, and I don't think there's a lot out there that's actually doing that. I think maybe Shadow Complex hinted at that, but we've played around with it and we've kind of taken that on an awful lot further so that it's true 3D shooting into the screen.
And the beautiful thing about that is that it forces the player to do something that they're perhaps not used about. You have to sort of, in these kind of games, you would normally, if you just look at the screen, what's going on now, I'm sure we get some gameplay running here or something like that, you would think, oh, it's just a reaction game, it's just about reactions, but this actually makes it much more tactical, because you have to think about your positioning and whether you go into cover and to look into the 3D background more or less, and then it just gets more tactical.
Yeah, so we think of this as a co-op game with the ability to play solo. So the real meat of the game comes when you team up with other players to do for it. So that's where really it's not a cover-based shooter, and it's not an all-out shoot 'em up. It's you take on different roles. So you have one person running around shooting everybody else, while you have a sniper standing up at the top behind cover, picking people off. So it really it allows many game styles to really play it how you want to play it. But again, when you start teaming up with other people, creating your own archetypes of your mercenary team, that's where the game really comes alive, I think.
That is also one of those sort of things where this game is much more complex than you would expect there to be. Okay, there's a few different roles, players get to pick one each, but here you're sort of giving the player, you level up your operatives and you can take them in different directions and specialize them, and then you have a whole team, so you can go either at one point you can have 4 players who are all snipers, if that's what you want to do, or you can have them all have SMGs. It's any combination really at any point of time.
Yeah, we're not forcing the player to take your stereotypical sniper or your tank or your SMG guy. So we give them a blank canvas. You have a set number of operatives, and then we have a fairly in-depth upgrade tree. And for that, the player then can choose how they actually upgrade. So if you choose to go along the sniper route, you get much better accuracy, you're better at stealth. And then there are decision points, and at that point, that's where you decide, right, I'm really focusing on, say, a sniper. That's good, but that will then cut off, say, a shotgun specialist. So it's up to you how you choose each character to be upgraded. You have other characters, so if you're clever, you will create a balanced team with some snipers and some HMGs. But if you really want, yeah, go for 8 snipers if you think that's what's going to work. It won't, but...
And you can swap them out on the fly as well, so it's not like you lock yourself in for a mission or for a level.
Yeah, no, during the game you can take up to 4 operatives in, and you choose to change at any point in time. So you just hit the button and you swap out. Your current guy goes up to teleports out, your new guy comes in, and you just keep playing. If you're playing on your own, it's a little bit tougher, because if you lose an operative, they will bleed out and that's it. Whereas if you're playing with a team of people, then it gets more like you fall down, someone else revives you, so you're really helping each other a lot more. There's no permadeath, I have to say. We've been asked this a lot. It's just, it didn't work. It was too harsh. People are getting attached to their operatives, so yeah, if you die, you're only dead for the mission, you come back next time.
Very few action games actually have permadeath. It would be kind of harsh in a Call of Duty situation as well to sort of lose all your progression, I guess.
There is one or two out there, and it works for them, but it didn't work for this game, sadly. So get too attached to the guys.
Another thing that I found interesting is the power-ups that you have, and also how you share XP, because you really have this situation where teamwork is rewarded, and is that sort of something that you looked at as well, that you really want to reward teamwork?
Yeah, again, as I've said, we see this as a co-op game, so it really is a case of you all work together. So I mean, XP is shared. So when you kill somebody, this will help lower players play with more advanced people. You'll pull them on. So there's no one person does all the killing and takes all of the XP, leaving people behind. So for example, it's all local to your machine. So if I shoot somebody and I get so much XP or so many power-ups drop out, somebody else can come along and pick them up as well, because it appears on both screens. So it really is a case of, no one gets to have all the fun. It's shared between everybody. And the XP you get for each of your operatives, that all feeds into the organisation. So everything is connected in this. The organisation is your overarching, your group of mercenaries. So the better you do in a mission, the higher your level of your organisation, which allows you to have more operatives, to take on harder contracts, and just more credits in game to buy better weapons.
So I mean, there is a setting and a story here, and it's set in the future. How sort of in the forefront is the story, or are you sort of focused on these missions and just keeping the player busy playing, or are you going to tell a story between missions, or how do you approach that?
So we have a background lore to it, but the story itself is not really something we're promoting too hard. So you'll understand the context of what is happening, but for us it's much more about the game. You're going in, you're doing contracts. It's an eternal battle between these organisations that are hiring your mercenaries to do this. So for you, there's no real end game. You're not trying to take over something. You are simply doing contracts for other people, and really it's a case of doing harder contracts and harder upgrades, more contracts, and then really the hardest contracts will be designed so that you need to have other people that you go into the game with. So 4 players, all with top level operatives, and then that's the real challenge, is to finish those top ones. And then there's the continual attempt to try and get better weapons and the rarer weapons.
Speaking of those missions, it's all procedurally generated. The layout of the missions, and also the enemies that you'll face.
Yeah, so I think our QA team hate us for this. So it's exceptionally dynamically created. There are, I think, 180 different layouts you could have your contracts for. Each of those is made up of a set number of room types. Each room type has so many different variations. So you'll see maybe the same layout, but the rooms will be completely different. Each of the rooms can have different enemies appearing. Each of them have different spawn points. So I couldn't work it out, to be honest. We're in 5 figures at least for the number of potential differences. The tagline we're using is never a routine mission. So any game that you play, you should never see that ever again in exactly the same format ever. Please don't quote me on that, but yeah.
Well, I'm sure it will happen for some guy somewhere when you bring it out to the millions.
Yeah, it might do. It's again, the numbers are huge, so yeah, hopefully you should never see them again.
And of course also your own performance ties into how the mission plays out, because you will achieve different goals, and then that will take you to the next one.
Yeah, that's the other part of this, in that even if you do get the same massively unlikely mission, it branches after every little objective. So missions are broken down into 4 to 10 individual objectives, and if you finish it well, say a gold medal, silver medal, bronze medal, you may branch to a different objective. If you mess it up and it takes too long, it will branch to a different one. So very quickly it branches out to a totally different flow. So you might end up having to fight a boss at the end of the level, or you might do something completely different and you end up doing something completely different at the end. So it really is just never the same mission twice.
And that also, the unlocks is sort of tied into this sort of classic sticker idea of buying packs and collecting and sort of unlocking things, both consumables and of course upgrades and customization items. Can you tell us something about the depth of those unlocks?
I think most of us at some point in our young lives used to collect stickers, and the excitement of opening a pack and finding the shiny foil one. So we've brought that into this game. So when you get credits in game, you use that to go to the marketplace and buy asset packs with those credits, and from that you can find weapons, power-ups, and of different rarities. So that's the excitement, is to see what you can get out of that. You can get other armor attachments for your operatives. You can get camo patches, which apply directly onto the armor. So that's the more rare thing. So you try to create however you want to, maybe a highly day-glow group of operatives, but that will give you the uniqueness for your team at the end of it. But that is the cycle that we want people to do: play the game, try to get the exciting stuff, keep going and keep going.
So what we saw here was pre-alpha gameplay. I thought it looked pretty advanced. I mean, if you look at any pre-alpha from any developer, it's always different stages. So it's pre-alpha is not like a fixed term.
Yeah.
But where are you at in development, and when do you think that you will feel ready to launch it?
So what we're trying to do is to, at all points, keep it at a playable, showable state, so that there's always something we can show you in terms of how we're doing. Still some work to be done, obviously. Quite a few features, as we showed you, are not quite there yet. We're still throwing around some ideas. Obviously some of the artwork needs to be brought up, but we're looking at the moment, can't say much more than it will be out 2015, and it will be out on PC and PS4 at the same time.
Any plans for other platforms?
Not at present that I know. I think discussions are always ongoing, but for the moment it's just those two platforms.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Cheers.